I'm speaking to you from this sterile hospital room. Tomorrow I face a surgery I might not wake up from. My children, my 2 boys, John, my Michael, they don't know. They haven't answered my calls in years, let alone visited. My name is Arthur Miller. I am 91 years old, a war veteran. I'm going to tell you how I fought for my country, built a life from nothing, raised 2 strong boys. And now, as my last breath draws near, I'm utterly alone. If you have a parent, a grandparent, please listen to this old man's story. It might save you from a lifetime of regret. The beeping of these machines is my only company now. It's a rhythmic, cruel reminder that my heart still beats, even when no one else cares. They say a veteran never truly retires from the war, and it's true. I battled across oceans. I faced down enemies, but nothing prepared me for the quiet devastation of being forgotten by your own blood. My hands, these hands that once held rifles, then toolboxes, then the tiny hands of my sons. Now they just tremble on this thin hospital blanket. The nurses are kind, yes. They offer a warm smile, a glass of water. But they aren't family. They don't know the smell of my wife's cooking or the sound of John's laughter or Michael's mischievous grin as a boy. Wait, I haven't told you the part that makes me cry every night yet, but to understand how I got here, how a man who built so much could end up with so little. I need to go back to the days when we were happy, to a time before the silence became so loud. It's been 1,147 days since my son last answered my phone, a blank screen staring back at me, a hollow ache where his voice should be. My fingers, gnarled and slow, still automatically dial John's number, then Michael's, every single morning. The same voicemail, the same echo of silence. But I remember a time, I remember it vividly, when John, my eldest, would call me my hero every night before bed, his little hand clutched tight in mine as I told him stories of my days in the service, edited for childish ears, of course. I remember the dizzying, comforting smell of fresh-baked apple pie my sweet Mary used to make, filling our small home with a warmth that went deeper than any fire. Laughter, genuine, hearty laughter, around a Christmas table so laden with food and joy you'd think we were kings. Michael, my youngest, always the mischievous one, would sneak an extra cookie when he thought no one was looking, leaving a trail of crumbs and giggles. He thought he was so clever. If you knew what I discovered at the end of this story, what hidden betrayal festered beneath the surface of their seemingly happy lives, what truth I scribbled into a worn leather diary, maybe there would still be time for you not to make the same mistake my children did. I close my eyes and I'm back there, not in this cold room but in our little house on Elm Street, the one I bought with my war savings and every penny I earned working double shifts. I built that home with these hands, brick by brick, beam by beam. My John would sit on the porch swing watching me, fascinated. Even when he was just a little tyke, he'd bring me rusty nails he found in the yard, pretending they were treasures. "Papa," he'd say, his voice barely a whisper, "I want to build things like you." And I'd ruffle his hair, knowing that a part of me, a part of my hard-won knowledge, would live on through him. Michael, my little Michael, was different, always with a crayon in his hand, drawing fantastical creatures on every available surface, much to his mother's loving despair. He saw the world in colors, where John saw blueprints, but both of them, both my boys, were my entire universe. We didn't have much, but we had each other. We had respect. We had dreams. Mary, my darling Mary, she was the anchor. Her smile, her gentle touch, the way she could make a simple meal taste like a feast. She'd always say, "Arthur, our boys are our legacy. Strong, kind, good men." I believed her with every fiber of my being, but here's the most painful part of these memories, the part that twists the knife every single night. It's knowing how much I poured into them, how much I sacrificed, not for praise, but for their future. After the war, I found work as a carpenter, then a contractor. Long days, often 7 days a week. My hands were calloused, my back ached, but every nail I hammered, every wall I raised was for them. For John's ambition to follow in my footsteps, for Michael's art supplies, for Mary's peace of mind. I taught John everything I knew about construction, how to read a schematic, how to estimate a job, the pride of seeing a project through from foundation to roof. He was a quick study, my John. He shadowed me on every site from the time he was old enough to hold a tape measure. I saw so much of myself in him, that same drive, that same determination. I often thought, this boy, he'll carry on the Miller name, make it shine. I remember one summer John was about 16 and we were building a small addition for Mrs. Henderson down the street. It was a hot day, sun beating down, and I was showing him how to frame a window opening just so. He made a mistake, measured wrong. I could see the frustration on his face, the anger at himself. He was ready to throw down his hammer. I stopped him, put my hand on his shoulder. "Son," I said, "a true builder doesn't get angry at the wood. He learns from it, he corrects it, he makes it stronger." He nodded, took a deep breath, and we fixed it together. That evening he came to me, his eyes shining with pride, and showed me a perfect corner joint he'd done himself. "You taught me, Papa," he said. "You made me understand." That was the kind of connection we had, a bond forged in sawdust and sweat, in shared ambition. It was the proudest moment of my life, seeing him transform from a boy with a hammer to a young man with a craft. Even Michael, with his head in the clouds, would join us sometimes, sketching the angles of the beams, the play of light on the unfinished walls. He'd bring us sandwiches Mary packed, always with a little note tucked inside. He might not have wanted to build houses, but he understood the value of hard work, the importance of family. He'd draw pictures of John and me working, making us look like giants. He'd leave them on my pillow, little masterpieces of love. I still have some of those drawings, tucked away in my old war trunk, faded now, but the memories they evoke are as vivid as yesterday. I retired when I was 65, handing the business over to John. He'd been working with me for 20 years by then, knew it inside and out. It was a modest business, but it was ours, built on trust and honest work. I gave him everything, the client list, the equipment, my name. I wanted him to succeed, to surpass me. I told him, "John, it's yours now. Make it grow, but never forget where it came from. Never forget the people who built it with you, or the family that supported you." He promised me, looked me in the eye, and swore he would make me proud. For a while he did. He called every day, telling me about new contracts, asking for advice. He'd say, "Papa, your wisdom is still sharper than any saw." Those were good years. Years when I finally had time to sit with Mary, to watch my grandsons grow, to enjoy the fruits of a lifetime of labor. My John, the ambitious builder. My Michael, the sensitive artist. Two very different boys, yet both my sons. They were my world. How could a lifetime of that, of shared dreams and sacrifice, simply vanish? I used to think of those times. The smell of sawdust, Mary's apple pie, the sound of their laughter, and feel a deep contentment. Now those same memories are like shards of glass in my heart, each one a reminder of what was and what is, irrevocably lost. The silence in this hospital room is broken only by the steady, indifferent beep of a machine, a stark, brutal contrast to the joyful symphony that once filled my home. It didn't happen all at once. It was gradual, like a plant dying without water, petal by petal, hope by hope. You don't notice the change until it's too late, until the vibrant green has faded to a brittle brown, until the silence has settled so deep in your bones that you can't remember what laughter sounds like anymore. The first noticeable crack, the first chill that seeped into my old bones came on my 80th birthday. 80 years, a milestone you'd think. Mary had only passed 2 years before, and I was still adrift, navigating the new, vast emptiness of our home without her. I sat by the telephone, the old rotary phone that had seen countless calls, countless celebrations. I didn't want a big party, I just wanted to hear their voices. John, my ambitious builder; Michael, my sensitive artist. I waited. The phone, usually quiet, was a tomb. Not a single ring, not a text message, those strange little notes they sent sometimes. Nothing. I tried to convince myself they were busy. John always had a big project, Michael always had a new exhibition, but deep down a whisper started. A cold, unwelcome guest. They forgot. My John, my Michael, who used to make me handmade cards smeared with paint and crayon, who'd jump on my bed at dawn singing happy birthday off-key. They simply forgot. The silence that day was the loudest sound I'd ever heard, shattering the last fragments of my broken heart, reminding me that the world had moved on and left me standing still. A few months later, John called. It wasn't to apologize for my birthday, of course. He'd barely mentioned it in the interim, brushing off my gentle probes with vague excuses. This call was different. His voice, usually so steady, had an edge to it. He was with Sarah, his wife. "Dad," he started, "Sarah and we've been talking. You know, since Mom passed, the house is big for you. And your stairs. It's not safe." My heart hammered against my ribs. I knew what was coming. It was like a premonition. a cold dread that had been lurking in the shadows since Mary left. We think it's time you considered a facility, somewhere you'd have help, companionship. Companionship. My companionship was supposed to be them, my boys. I swallowed, the words catching in my throat. A nursing home, John, I managed, my voice barely a whisper. I could hear Sarah in the background, her tone sharper. Arthur, it's for your own good. We worry. We can't be there all the time. All the time. They weren't there any time. The words stung worse than any physical blow. They weren't seeing me, they were seeing a problem, an inconvenience, a burden. My hands, which had built their lives, had suddenly become empty, useless. I tried to argue, to plead, to remind them of our home, the one I built brick by brick, the one where they grew up. This is my home, John. Your mother and I. Every memory is here. But John was resolute, or perhaps just tired. Dad, we found a really good place. It's got activities, doctors on site, it's modern, you'll like it. Like it? Like being a stranger in a strange land, surrounded by other forgotten souls. My own son, my John, was sending me away. It felt like a betrayal deeper than any enemy fire I had faced in the war. The home, our home, the very fabric of our family, was being torn from me, brick by brick, memory by memory. Michael, my Michael. He stayed silent during these conversations. He sent a few texts. Sorry, Dad, John says it's best. Best for whom, I wanted to scream. Best for them. To clear out the last obstacle in their path, the last inconvenient reminder of a past they clearly wanted to leave behind. The day of the move was a blur of hurried movements and averted gazes. John and Sarah were there directing the movers. Michael showed up later, quiet, his eyes distant. He kept fiddling with his phone, avoiding my gaze. I tried to pack a few essentials, but most of my life was deemed unnecessary. My old tool belt, worn and scarred from decades of work, the one John had admired so much as a boy, was tossed into a box for charity without a second thought. You won't need that, Dad, John said, his voice flat. But the most devastating moment was when Sarah picked up Mary's favorite porcelain teacup, the one we'd bought on our honeymoon, and held it up. This old thing? We really don't have space for all these trinkets, Arthur. Trinkets? It was Mary. It was our life. I grabbed it from her, my hands shaking. This cup, this fragile piece of porcelain, was all that was left of my wife, of our shared dreams. I clutched it to my chest, a lifeline in a storm of indifference. They didn't see the tears in my eyes, or maybe they just chose not to. They were too busy dismantling my life, piece by careful piece. They promised, oh, how they promised. We'll visit every Sunday, Dad. We'll take you out for lunch. John looked me in the eye, that same look he gave when he swore he'd make me proud when he took over the business. And Michael, he gave me a quick, fleeting hug. We'll be back soon, Papa, he said, already halfway out the door. That was the last time I felt their arms around me. The last time I saw Michael's face not through a screen. The last time I heard the echo of Papa in the cold, empty corridor of the care home. Sunday came, then another, then a month. The empty promise hung in the air, a cruel, invisible noose. The nurses were kind, yes. They tried to make me comfortable, but they couldn't fill the chasm carved by their absence. They couldn't bring back the smell of Mary's pie, or the sound of my boys' laughter, or the quiet pride of a father watching his sons build their lives. I kept that teacup with me, always, a small, cold comfort. But what happened next? That truly destroyed what little hope I had left. I tried to understand. I truly did. Maybe they were just busy. Maybe I was being difficult. I called John's number, leaving polite messages. Just checking in, son. Hope you're well. No answer. I tried Michael. Same silence. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. My Sundays, once filled with the phantom promise of a visit, became just another day to stare at the door, waiting for a knock that never came. I'd try to remember their voices, their faces, but the memories, once so vivid, began to blur, softened by the relentless tide of loneliness. I started paying more attention to the other residents, the ones with families who did visit, families who brought flowers and stories and genuine smiles. A sharp pang of envy, of inexplicable grief, would pierce me every time I saw it. Why them and not me? What had I done wrong? One afternoon, a year after I moved in, a nurse came to me, a young woman named Clara with kind eyes. She held a stack of mail. "Mr. Miller," she said gently, "I think this is yours." It was a utility bill for the old house on Elm Street, addressed to me. My heart gave a strange lurch. I thought John had sold it. He had the business, the money, Why would I still be getting bills? I looked at Clara, my brow furrowed. But I don't live there anymore. She shrugged, a sympathetic sadness in her eyes. It's in your name, sir. It was then a cold, hard truth began to dawn on me. John hadn't sold the house. He was renting it out. And the bills, the property taxes, the maintenance, they were all still tied to me. He was collecting rent on my home, the home I built, while I withered away in this room, paying for my own care with the little savings I had left. My own son. He hadn't even bothered to take my name off the property. He just kept collecting, letting me foot the bills, adding insult to injury. The discovery was a punch to the gut. It wasn't just abandonment, it was exploitation. My John, the boy who wanted to build like me, who promised to make me proud, he had turned my legacy into his personal piggy bank. I tried calling him, my hands trembling so violently I almost dropped the phone. When he finally answered, his voice was impatient. "Dad, what is it? I'm busy." I asked him about the house, the bills. There was a pause, a long, uncomfortable silence, then a sigh. "Look, Dad, it's complicated. The market's bad. We're just waiting for the right time to sell. It's fine. Don't worry about it." "Don't worry about it?" My entire life's work was being bled dry and he told me not to worry. The conversation ended quickly, with him making another vague promise to look into it. He never did. The bills kept coming and I kept paying, using up the meager pension and savings I had painstakingly built over a lifetime. It was a slow, agonizing bleed, financially and emotionally. Then there was Michael, my gentle, artistic Michael. I saw him once, years after the move, in a local newspaper. There was a photo, a grand gallery opening. His art. He looked so happy, so successful, surrounded by people admiring his work. He was wearing a fancy suit, a confident smile. My Michael, the one who drew stick figures and left them on my pillow. I felt a surge of pride, quickly followed by a crushing wave of despair. He was thriving. He was living his dream, and I was nowhere in it. He hadn't even sent me an invitation, no call, no mention of his success to the man who bought his first crayons, who encouraged his earliest scribbles. He was living a life of luxury and recognition, while his father spent his last years counting the days, battling the bills for a house he no longer lived in. He had simply cut me out, like an unwanted section of a painting. His world, so vibrant and full, had no space for the faded portrait of his father. I stopped calling them after that. There was no point. The phone became just another object in my room, a relic of a connection that no longer existed. My hands, once strong and purposeful, now just held the porcelain teacup, tracing its delicate rim, feeling the ghosts of Mary's touch. The silence grew heavier, thicker, wrapping around me like a shroud. I saw other residents, some with children who visited begrudgingly, some with children who sent cards. But I had nothing. I had given them my youth, my strength, my love, my entire business, my home. And they had given me this: an empty chair, an unanswered phone, a lie about a house, and a newspaper clipping of a son who forgot his roots. Every day was a testament to their absence, a harsh reminder of the chasm that had opened between us. This wasn't just neglect. It was an active erasure, a deliberate unmaking of a father by his sons. The silence is my constant companion now. It greets me every morning, a cold, heavy blanket that smothers any warmth the sun tries to offer through these institutional windows. I wake up, usually before the nurses arrive, to the low hum of the fluorescent lights down the hall and the steady, indifferent rhythm of my own breath. There's no purpose to the day, no children to wake, no breakfast to cook, no business to build, just another endless stretch of hours to fill, usually with nothing. I'll sit at the small table in my room, stirring my lukewarm coffee, looking at the faded photograph of Mary, John, and Michael from 40 years ago. Mary's smiling, her arm around me. John, a gangly teenager with a proud look. Michael, a little boy, his eyes bright with mischief. I talk to them, to the photograph. "Mary, my love, do you see this? Do you know what's become of us?" Sometimes, I swear I hear her gentle voice, telling me to be strong, reminding me of the good times. But it's just the wind outside, or the creak of an old man's heart breaking. The phone, the very same one I tried so desperately to reach my sons with, now sits like a tombstone on the nightstand. It hasn't rung in. I stopped counting the exact days. It's been years, decades it feels like. My hands, gnarled and frail, still reach for it sometimes, a reflex from a life when connection was real, when family meant something. But it's always silent, always. There's no point in checking it anymore, but I still do, every morning, a ritual of futile hope. Birthdays, holidays, they pass by unnoticed by anyone but me. Last Christmas I watched the snow fall, thinking of the Christmases past, of John and Michael tearing open presents, their faces alight with joy. I had a small store-bought cake. The nurses meant well, but I couldn't bring myself to eat it. Who was I celebrating with? The silence was so loud it hurt my ears. My body too is a testament to neglect. Aches and pains that weren't there before. A dizziness that sometimes threatens to knock me off my feet. I mention them to the nurses. They give me pills. But it's not the same as a son's worried gaze, a daughter-in-law's gentle hand on your arm. No one truly cares to ask how I am, only what I need. And what I need they can't give me. If you think what you've heard so far is sad, prepare yourself. Last Tuesday, the afternoon sun was weak, trying to push through the heavy clouds. I was in the common room pretending to read a newspaper, but mostly watching the door, a habit I can't break. I was trying to seem invisible, like I always do when new families visit. That's when they arrived. A young couple, maybe in their late 30s, and 2 children. A boy, perhaps 5 years old, and a little girl, 3 or 4, with bright bouncing curls. They were there for old Mr. Henderson, a quiet man who kept mostly to himself, a fellow veteran from a different war, different generation. As the door swung open, the little boy let out a squeal of pure, unadulterated joy. "Grandpa!" he shouted, his small legs pumping as he ran towards Mr. Henderson's armchair. The little girl, not to be outdone, followed close behind, her tiny arms outstretched. Mr. Henderson, usually so stoic, his eyes often distant, lit up like a Christmas tree. He pushed himself slowly from his chair, a broad, genuine smile spreading across his wrinkled face, a smile I hadn't seen on him in all the years I'd known him. He bent down, his old joints creaking, and scooped up the little girl, twirling her gently as she giggled. The boy launched himself into his legs, hugging him tight. "My little ones, you came!" Mr. Henderson's voice was thick with emotion, his eyes shining. The young couple, his son and daughter-in-law, stood beaming behind them, carrying a picnic basket and a bouquet of brightly colored flowers. They set up a little area near the window, spreading a cheerful blanket on the floor. The children immediately started showing their grandpa drawings, pulling out toys, chattering away about their day. I watched them, hidden behind the large potted plant near the television, my heart a lead weight in my chest. I could smell the faint scent of fresh-baked cookies wafting from their basket, hear the joyous sound of the little girl's laughter, the warm, steady murmur of conversation. The boy, my little grandson's age perhaps, was sitting on Mr. Henderson's lap, his head nestled against the old man's shoulder, listening intently as his grandfather told him a story. I could hear Mr. Henderson's son say, "Dad, we missed you so much," and his daughter-in-law carefully cutting a slice of homemade cake for him. It was a scene straight out of my memories, a living, breathing portrait of everything I once had and everything I had irrevocably lost. My own grandsons. I wonder if they even know I exist. John's boy, Michael's girls. I remember them as babies, holding their tiny hands, feeling the warmth of their skin, promising to tell them stories when they were older. Promises I never got to keep. Promises they never let me keep. The little boy on Mr. Henderson's lap, his innocent gaze fixed on his grandfather, was a mirror of my own John, my own Michael, when they were small. It felt like a cruel trick of fate, watching another man receive the love and attention that I, Arthur Miller, a man who fought for his country, who built a home, who gave his entire life to his sons, was denied. A single hot tear escaped my eye, tracing a path down my weathered cheek, a silent testament to the raw, excruciating pain of being alive, yet completely forgotten. I quickly wiped it away, hoping no one noticed, though I doubted anyone would. I was just another old man in a chair, invisible. And it was at that moment, watching that little boy, hearing that genuine laughter, that I started to wonder, where did I go wrong? Was I too strict with John, pushing him too hard to follow in my footsteps? Did I indulge Michael too much, letting his artistic dreams pull him too far from our roots? Did I not show enough love? Was I too focused on providing for them that I forgot to connect? Did I make them feel like burdens, even when I tried my best to give them everything? Or was it just me, old Arthur, failing as a father, so completely that my own flesh and blood could abandon me without a second thought, leaving me to face my final days alone, a stranger in a room full of strangers? I spent months asking myself, where did I go wrong? Was it my temper? My stubbornness. Did I push John too hard into the construction business, or give Michael too much freedom with his art? I replayed every memory, every conversation, searching for the fault, the misstep, the moment I severed the bond. I was convinced it was my failing, my inadequacy as a father, that had led to this desolate end, until a letter, a single envelope, changed the question to, what have they become? It arrived one cold Tuesday, tucked between a flyer for discounted diapers and a bank statement from a long-forgotten account. Clara, the kind nurse with the sad eyes, handed it to me. It was a thick, official-looking envelope with the emblem of a law firm I didn't recognize. My hands, usually trembling from old age and a loneliness that gnawed at my bones, trembled even harder as I tore it open. Inside was a notice, a legal notice. And the name on it made the blood drain from my face. John Miller, my John. The document stated in cold, precise legal jargon that the company, Miller & Sons Construction, my company, the one I built from the ground up and gave to him, was being sued, bankrupt, over a massive debt, a bad investment, a series of failed projects. And because I had been the original founder, and more importantly, had co-signed a major loan for him when I retired, trusting him with my legacy, I was still legally tied to it. The letter stated that my pension, what little was left after paying the bills for the Elm Street house, was now under threat. My savings, already dwindling, were on the line. John, my ambitious builder, hadn't just squandered my business. He was now coming for the last vestiges of my financial independence. He was destroying me even in my absence. There was no joy, no sense of perverse satisfaction, only a profound, gut-wrenching pain. This wasn't what I wanted for him. Not for John, not for Michael. I didn't want them to suffer, to fail. I wanted them to thrive, to be good men, to build lives filled with purpose and love. But looking at that letter, the truth became chillingly clear. This wasn't a consequence of my failure. It was a consequence of theirs. It was the culmination of choices they made, the values they prioritized, the path they walked when they chose to forget the lessons I tried so hard to instill. I remembered John as a boy, always wanting the biggest slice of pie, the best toy, the loudest laugh. Small things then, things I dismissed as youthful exuberance, harmless ambition. He'll learn, I'd tell Mary. He'll understand the value of sharing, of working for what you have. But he hadn't. He learned to take, to exploit, to disregard. He had taken my legacy, my name, my trust, and burned it all down for a quick buck, for a grandiose idea that crumbled under the weight of his own greed. And Michael, my artistic Michael, his success, that shining gallery opening I saw in the newspaper, it wasn't a triumph of spirit, but another facet of their chosen path. He was selling his soul, his talent, to the highest bidder, just like John was tearing down everything I built. I remembered Michael, sketching his fantastical creatures, then later sketching a caricature of our neighbor Mrs. Henderson, exaggerating her features for a laugh, not caring that he might hurt her feelings. Mary gently chided him, but I just smiled, thinking it was just a boy's mischief. I now saw it for what it was, a subtle disregard for others, a focus on personal gain, no matter the cost to those around him. They both had this streak, this shadow of selfishness that I, in my blindness as a father, had mistaken for strength, for creativity, for ambition. I had given them my love, my guidance, my very essence, and they had chosen money, status, and convenience over every single one of those foundational principles. They had traded empathy for ambition, and now the bill was coming due. I folded the letter carefully, my hands still trembling, but with a different kind of tremor now. Not from fear, but from a cold, unwavering resolution. I wouldn't call John, I wouldn't confront him. What was the point? The man described in that letter wasn't the boy I raised. He was a stranger, a ghost of the son I once knew. My John, my Michael, they were gone, replaced by these shadows, these hollow men driven by things I didn't recognize. I walked over to my old war trunk, the one where I kept Mary's teacup and Michael's childhood drawings. I pulled out my worn leather diary, the one I'd started keeping after Mary passed, filled with my private thoughts, my sorrow, my silent conversations with the past. I opened it to a fresh page and with painstaking effort, copied down the exact wording of the lawyer's letter. Every detail, every chilling truth. This wasn't for them. This wasn't for justice, not in the way the world understands it. This was for me, for my truth. A silent testament to the devastating consequence of their abandonment, a final accounting of what they had truly become. I would not allow their deceit to also erase my own narrative. I then took out a photograph, one of my favorites, from John's college graduation. He stood there beaming, Mary and I beside him, so full of hope and pride. He had promised the world that day, promised to use the opportunities we gave him for good. I looked at his smiling face, then at the lawyer's letter, then back at the photograph. The disparity was a gaping wound. I didn't tear the photo. I simply placed the letter, folded and stark, directly on top of John's face in the picture, covering his smile, covering the promise. It was a symbolic act, a quiet, internal sealing of the past. The forgiveness I once thought I might offer, it wasn't there. Only a profound, sorrowful acceptance of a reality colder than any winter. What I'm about to reveal explains everything, and it will break your heart. I hold this letter now, its crisp edges a stark contrast to my trembling hands. This piece of paper, this evidence of my son's ruin and his disregard for me, feels heavier than any rifle I ever carried, any tool I ever wielded. It's not just ink on paper, it's a testament to a broken legacy, a shattered trust. With this truth in my hands, there's only one thing left for me to say before the end. I hold this letter now, its crisp edges a stark contrast to my trembling hands. This piece of paper, this evidence of my son's ruin and his disregard for me, feels heavier than any rifle I ever carried, any tool I ever wielded. It's not just ink on paper. It's a testament to a broken legacy, a shattered trust. With this truth in my hands, there's only one thing left for me to say before the end. And now, the message that could change the life of whoever is watching. If you are watching this, if you are a son or a daughter, if you have parents or grandparents who are still alive, please, listen to this old man. Look at me here, in this sterile room, with machines beeping a constant, indifferent rhythm. This is where I am. This is where you could be one day, staring at nothing, waiting for a visit that never comes, waiting for a phone call that rings only in your memory. I tell you, a silence like this, it's a living thing. It wraps around your throat, squeezes your heart until you can barely breathe. My sons, John and Michael, they pursued their ambitions, their successes. They built lives filled with things, houses, careers, social standing. But I'm here to tell you, from the edge of the abyss, none of that matters, not a single solitary thing. When you reach this age, when the end is near, it's not the zeros in your bank account you think about. It's not the titles you held or the projects you completed. It's the faces, it's the laughter. It's the simple, tender touch of a hand. Do you know what would mean the world to me? What would be like winning the lottery? A 5-minute phone call, just 5 minutes, to hear their voices, to know they're well, that they're thinking of me. A simple photo of my grandchildren, a new one, not the faded images from decades ago, to know what they look like now, to see the young faces I won't get to meet. An unexpected, I love you, Dad. Just that. 3 words, 3 simple words, yet they are more precious than all the gold in the world. They are the only currency that truly matters when you're standing at the threshold of forever. I tried so hard to give my sons everything. My strength, my wisdom, my business, my home. I thought I was laying foundations for their happiness. I thought I was teaching them about love and family. But somewhere along the way, they heard a different lesson. They heard that possessions were more valuable than presence, that convenience was more important than connection, that their own desires outweighed the bond of blood. I used to agonize, asking myself where I went wrong. But now, with the truth of that letter in my hand, I see it wasn't my failing to love, but theirs to receive, their failing to remember. Don't be like them. Don't leave it for later. Later might be too late. Tomorrow, I go for this surgery, this final battle I might not win. And my boys, my John, my Michael, they don't know, they won't know. What if I close my eyes for the last time and the last image I have is not their faces, but the cold, indifferent beeping of this machine? Hug your parents. Tell them you love them. Today, while there's still time. Because the regret of what you didn't do, it's a heavier burden than any old man should have to carry. As I lay here, waiting for the dawn, I've been making my final entry in this old leather diary. It's not just a record of my pain, of their betrayal, it's my testament. Because in this diary, hidden amongst the sorrow, I've documented one last act. Remember that little pension, what little savings I had left, the ones John's bankruptcy threatens to take? Well, I've made arrangements. I've signed the papers, had them notarized by a kind nurse who sees me as a man, not just a patient. Every cent of what remains of my pension, it won't go to my sons. It won't be swallowed by their debts or their grand schemes. It will go to the children's hospital wing, to help other children, children who do have families, families that love them. It's a small sum, but it's all I have left, and it will be a legacy that truly matters. A legacy of love, not of greed. This diary, it tells that story too. My final truth. It's meant to be found after I'm gone. I still have hope of seeing my sons, my John, my Michael, one last time. Is that too much to ask before I close my eyes forever? Yes, I've made my arrangements. My pension, what little is left, won't go to the men who forgot me. It will go to the children's hospital wing. A small sum, yes, but a legacy of love, not of greed. This diary, it holds that final truth. It's meant to be found after I'm gone, because if my own children won't remember me for the life I lived, perhaps others will remember me for the love I left behind. I am Arthur Miller, a war veteran, a father, a husband. I stand here at the threshold of whatever comes next, and I want to tell you, with what little strength I have left, don't wait. Don't let your story become mine. This silence, this loneliness, it's a wound that never heals. My greatest battles weren't fought overseas, they were fought right here, in this room, against the crushing weight of being forgotten by the very people I gave my life to. If you have a mother, a father, a grandparent still breathing, still waiting, pick up the phone, drive over, hug them, tell them you love them. Don't let a life of too busy steal away the most precious moments. Don't let regret be the last feeling in your heart. Because when you're old, when you're alone and the machines are your only company, the only thing that matters is the love you gave and the love you received. Don't let the opportunity to make a memory slip away. For me, it's too late. But for you, for your loved ones, there is still time. Make it count.